Hello and welcome to this Microsoft Project Fundamentals course with me, Tendai, from Foundation for Business Technology. This is an online course that is accessible from anywhere where you have an internet connection using either a PC, a laptop, or any other smart device. The course consists of pre-recorded video lectures. This allows you to study at your own pace. You are able to rewind or replay as often as you wish any part of the training that you wish to repeat. During this training, we are going to be developing a project from the very beginning to the end. It is a practical training where I'll be demonstrating on the screen the exact keystrokes and the exact movement of the mouse that you're going to need to go through the project. At certain stages, you'll be required to submit a copy of the project that you're working on. So when you see a module that says practical submission, all you need to do is to simply save your project and you upload it on the website, or you can send an email to me. The objective of this training is to introduce the MS Project software, as well as to equip the participants with the basic skills required to set up and to manage a project using Microsoft Project. To begin with, we are going to look at what is a project. A project is any initiative or an endeavor or undertaking to achieve a particular aim or objective within a specific time using a planned set of resources and planned activities. So in other words, the moment you have an objective to achieve and you know when you must do it and how you must do it, you already have a project in the making. A project is short-term or temporary, and it is distinct or different from routine operations or repetitive jobs like running your monthly payroll. Examples of projects include development of a new product or innovation on existing products, as well as construction of a new building. These are two endeavors that have got a well-defined objective or an aim and can be completed within a specific time. We also know what is needed to complete these projects. So a project has got a number of elements, some of which I've already mentioned. So the first element of a project is that it needs to have an aim. It needs to have an objective. That is why you hear people talking about the dam project, or they talk about the stadium project. Why? Because it is referring to the end result or the product that is expected at the end of that endeavor. The second element of a project is a time frame within which to achieve the aim or the objective. You have to define how long you expect to work on that project. Thirdly, a project requires resources to achieve the objective. So the resources are of different types. Firstly, you need the time. So time is a resource required for a project. Secondly, you need people or manpower. So these people, they represent skills that must be utilized during the project. Depending on the project, you might require one form of equipment or the other. And then you also need materials. A project requires financial resources or money. So money is the eventual currency that we use to pay for all the other resources, for people, for equipment, and for materials. A project also needs a set of planned activities. In other words, there has to be a well-defined set of activities that must take place right from the inception of the project until the very end. So for each activity, we need to define the time when that activity must be carried out. We also need to define the sequence or the order in which activities are to be executed, as well as the dependencies between the different activities. Let's take, for example, a project to construct or to renovate a house or a building. There are activities such as plastering and painting that can only happen one after the other, because you have to finish plastering, allow it to dry, and then after that you can only paint. Whereas there are other activities that can actually happen simultaneously. For example, while some people are putting up the wall, others are putting in the electrical fittings, the conduits, within the same wall. So the element or the activity of brickwork happens at the same time as some elements of the electrical work as well. So a project needs to define the relationship and the dependencies between the different activities. Project management is the discipline that allows us to manage these endeavors that we are calling projects. It helps us to answer questions such as what tasks need to be performed, when should each task be performed, in what sequence or order must the tasks be performed, are there tasks that can be performed at the same time, or which tasks depend on the completion of other tasks, who will complete each task, in other words, the assignment of human resources to the different tasks, and what resources are required for each task, how much does it cost to complete each task, and what will happen if some tasks are not completed as scheduled, and how best do we communicate project information to all the stakeholders. So when you talk of stakeholders, we are talking of all the people that are involved in a project, either performing one task or the other, or in a managerial portfolio, or they could be suppliers or the client for the project itself. Next, we look at what is Microsoft Project. So MS Project is a software program that you can use to plan and to manage different types of projects. And it is a part of the Microsoft Office family of products, which comes in a number of different versions. So you have got the project desktop. That is the one that you can use as a standalone in your office, on a laptop, or on your PC. So the project desktop has got project standard, which is the entry level, which you can simply use for creating and tracking plans. Whereas you also have the project professional, which is the project standard plus additional features such as the team planner view. With project professional, you can also work with project online and project server. So in addition to the project desktop, we have got project online. So the project online is delivered through Microsoft Office 365. So the project online is Microsoft's project and portfolio management solution. I'm sure you've heard of PPM. Lastly, Project Server is the Microsoft on-premises PPM solution. So in other words, if you want to implement project and portfolio management and you don't want to do it online, you need to get Project Server. But if you can do it online, then you use Project Online, which comes with Office 365. With Microsoft Project, we can achieve the following. Firstly, you can create project plans with the level of detail you require. In other words, on your project, you can have summary information or you can put as much detail as you wish. You can also manage various tasks using MS Project. Next, you can manage resources, and we discussed resources as time, people, financial resources, equipment, and materials. We also manage costs using MS Project. In other words, the budget for the project itself can be managed through the software. We also manage and track the plan from project start to end. So in other words, it is a tracking software. You can be able to tell exactly where the project is, what is the status of each activity. We can also define how the tasks are going to be scheduled. Some tasks can be scheduled automatically. Say, for example, we are doing the building project we discussed earlier on, and you know that painting comes immediately after plastering. You can schedule the painting to be triggered the moment you indicate that plastering is complete. So you do not have to now manually go in and say, now it's time for plastering, because it is automatic, or it is given that the painting should start once the plastering is completed. You can also define which tasks you want to schedule manually. So in other words, these are tasks that need human intervention, management intervention, so that they can use their discretion to decide the exact time or moment when these tasks should start. With Microsoft Project, you can also collaborate and share information on projects with others in the organization. So in other words, this is a multi-user software that allows different people to share on the same platform and look at the same project. So different tasks or roles will be allocated to different people so that each person can perform the tasks that are associated with their position. With MS Project, we can manage multiple projects and use resource pools to service many projects with the same set of resources. So in other words, you do not have separate projects as islands, but you can actually collaborate and put multiple projects at the same time and use the same set of people or same set of resources, and you simply allocate them according to when they are required at the different projects, so that one project does not need to wait for the end of another project before you can begin it. With MS Project, we can also create and manage links between multiple projects. In other words, if you have got two or more projects that are related to each other, where the output of one is probably the input of another project, for example. So we can actually define at what stage there is that interface or that link between the different projects. This training is divided into a number of modules. So each module has got its own video associated with it. Like this module is the introduction module. Then next, we go to a module where we create project information, followed by the tasks module. then milestones, summary task, recurring tasks, linking tasks, task constraints, baselines, resources, calendars, and finally we'll look at reports. What you're going to need during this training is MS Project 2016, because that is what I'm going to be using for the demonstrations. If you have a different version, you may need to adapt some of the instructions where the interface differs, but the difference is not going to be prohibitive. So at this point, as I'm going to switch to my Microsoft Project screen, what you need to do is to start your own MS Project on your computer so that you can start following what I'm doing. So you need to follow exactly what I'll be demonstrating as I explain, because as I said earlier on, this is not going to be a theoretical training. I'll be explaining and I'll actually be showing by doing it. So you'll be able to see the exact menu, the exact group, and the exact item that I'm going to be clicking. And if I ask you to type somewhere, you are going to be seeing me doing the typing. So there is no excuse for failure on your part, because all you are supposed to do is follow exactly what I'm doing. At the end of each module, you must make sure that you save your project and that your project looks exactly like mine, because when you follow the instructions and the steps that I'm going through, then your project ought to look like mine. And then when you reach each practical submission stage, all you have to do is to upload or to email your file so that I can confirm that you are following. So there's an upload button. The moment you click where it says practical submission, you click that button. It takes you to a place where you can select the project file. Please remember that the practical submission is not a test or an examination. It is simply a way for me to know that you understand and that you are able to implement the concepts that we are learning. So do not hesitate to call me. My number is there, or you can email if you face any challenges during the training. So this is the end of this introductory module. I will see you in the next module where we start creating project information.